Alright, we're getting ready to go on this train. There's Katie. And behind me is Peter. And Tommy. Oh, here we go. Put your face. I don't know if he's going to sit here. Hi. Hi. Is that Choo Choo Charlie up there? I've got some. Choo Choo Charlie. There's a backing there. Hi. We're off. Oh, we're going about 45 miles an hour. This is wild. Hey, there's our coal, Pete. Oh, yeah. That's where they get the coal and run this train. Oh, look at that. And we got a little train garage right there. Quiet, Pete. I'm trying to do a movie. Katie's enjoying her ride. Hi, Katie. Wow. Yeah. Come on, Pete. Pete, stop. Oh, look at it. About 30 miles an hour, Pete. today, maybe tomorrow. Want to do something every day. We're just about the end of the line going this way. Another bridge. That's where they turn around. Coming into the station. Western Springs.
Population 5.
Western Springs. This is the end of our line. This is where we walk back, guys.
Yeah. I brought my gym shoes.
All right. I get everyone step off the train, have a seat underneath the canopy there. We'll give the engine a spin, and Bernie will tell you how a steam engine works.
Yeah.
Oh,
There we go.
Well, thanks for riding Riverside and Great Northern Railway. We're owned and operated by the Riverside and Great Northern Preservation Society, a non-profit educational historical association of just over 250 members. Locomotive 82 was built by the Sandlin Light Railway Equipment Works of Wisconsin Dells in 1957. And the group of buildings that we left at the other end of the line weighs a little over 6,000 pounds, operates at 150 pounds per square inch steam pressure, and works much the same way steam locomotives have worked for nearly 200 years. Burns coal to boil water to make steam. So unless you have questions about the 82, we're going to give her a spin, and then Conductor Steve will be right back here with a word from our friend.
Over and out.
An official time.
So you guys built this one too, right? This one was built here?
By the Sandlin Light Railway Equipment Works. He'll tell you more about that.
No, they're going to put it on a turntable and it's going to turn it around.
Now the turntable he's going on is about 1.5 years old now. The original turntable finally gave out and just wasn't repairable. That turntable is valued at $35,000.
Holy cow.
But because our members designed and built it themselves, we were able to do it for a little over $5,000, and that was made possible through donations. Now the turntable itself weighs 9,000 pounds. The engine weighs 6,000 pounds. The tender weighs about 1,000 pounds.
Wow.
That's 16,000
16,000,
pounds.
yeah.
You don't want to ask how much Bernie weighs. But with Bernie on there, that makes it over 8 tons.
Oh my gosh. Look at this. Isn't this cool?
yeah.
Away.
That's cool. I'm just waiting there.
That's a trip.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, I hope Bernie don't get dizzy.
Oh, I can get him dizzy. Then he'll make me ride in the back of the train.
Yeah.
There you go, Bernie.
And then Katie gets to drive all the way back?
Yeah,
Pardon me?
Kate.
I said then she gets to drive all the way back?
She can drive us back. She's,
I can drive the train back? I was waiting to get the same.
Well, I'd like to welcome everybody to beautiful downtown Western Springs, Wisconsin. Population of 5.
he's going to go down and he's going to back up and
Bernie
connect
alluded
up.
to, this is never actually the attraction of the Dells. This was originally a manufacturing facility.
What is Bernie
And
doing?
how I got started in San Luis.
He's going to switch tracks and back up.
Chicago and Northwestern Railway. He was also
Just watch. Just watch. Kate, just watch.
World War II was stationed in Europe. Now in Europe back then, and still today on a lot of locations, they got these little small gauge railways in place to help move people from
And
town
you
to
get
town.
away.
And this
Stay
is a
back,
normal
'cause he's
form
gonna
of
touch the train up
transportation
now.
for them over
Stay back.
there. Well, this impressed Elmer quite a bit, so he brought the idea back here to the States. Now, obviously, his dream of having miniature
away from the
railways
train.
from all across the United States
Come on,
didn't pan
back
out
here.
all that well. But a couple of years later,
Stay
his
right
son
there.
Norman, who was also
Stay right
a
now.
steam
Watch.
engineer,
Watch what happens.
realized that there was a lot of interest in these little trains from
There he
amusement
goes!
parks, zoos, plantations, and that occasional eccentric millionaire wanting his own private railway. So they started out working together. He left the railroad and went into business with his father in 1947. They started out in Jaysville, Wisconsin at Riverside Park. That's how the train got its name, Riverside and Great Northern. Now business is doing pretty well for the families over there, but not growing to the city. Started building their houses around the park. Was among it for those new neighbors were complaining about the noise and the smell of the little engines, and the ladies were complaining about hanging their nice white linen outside.
Let's sit there.
Come back, find
Let's sit there in front of the train.
So the city decided not to renew their lease, which forced the Stanleys to relocate. That's when they found this stretch of abandoned railroad right-of-way that you were on. The railroad right-of-way was actually built in 1854 by the La Crosse and Milwaukee Road. Full-size steam trains traveled through here, and this line also carried Civil War soldiers on their way to battle. It was abandoned in 1902 when the railroad realized all they had to do was move their line a couple hundred feet to the south, and they could avoid a lot of hills and curves. Of course, it was longer and faster trains. So Stanleys moved here in 1952, rebuilding the demonstration track and work buildings here in the Dells. They manufactured about 19 steam locomotives here in the Dells, about a dozen diesel locomotives, and 200 or 300 cars worth of rolling stock. These trains were sold all over the United States and Canada. In 1982, Elmer passed away, and his son did try to take over the business, but economic times in the late 70s, early 80s weren't very good. Demands of the railroad had dropped quite a bit, and unfortunately he was forced into bankruptcy. Property stayed abandoned for about 8 years, until a group of individuals who grew up here in the Dells, remembering the Stanleys and the free train rides they used to get as children on the weekends, they banded together, was able to convince the bank to let them take over the debt and turn this into a living museum. Now back then the entire railroad line had already overgrown with trees and brush, all of which had to be cut and removed. And then they had to replace more than 5,000 railroad ties by hand. That project took 2 years for them to complete, and it was done entirely by volunteers. Now today the society still depends on its volunteers. Everybody you see working here today, including myself and your engineer up there, Santa Claus, we're all volunteers. We give up our weekends and our vacations. We actually have members that come up from Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Florida. They come up, camp out with us, and help us run and maintain our little railway. So if anybody's interested in becoming a member, please talk to any one of us. We'll be glad to tell you all about it. Now the little railroad bridge we crossed never used to be there. That used to be a land bridge or a landfill.
Wow.
It was put in by the railroad back in the 1800s.
Okay.
It was 200 foot long, 40 foot wide at the bottom, 20 foot wide at the top, and stood almost 50 feet tall. In May and June of 2004, it rained here in the Dells. Weather Service said it rained 58 days out of 60, giving us 27.5 inches of rain. And then one night, on top of all that, the Dells suddenly received an amazing 10 inches of rain in less than 2 hours' time, which caused massive flash flooding throughout all of south central Wisconsin. And unfortunately, totally wiped our line out right through there, leaving our rails hanging over the cliffs looking like wet noodles. We had a Weather Service hydrologist visit the site, and he said that this entire valley would have had to completely filled, been full of water completely, and then that line would have had to given out all at once. Because when it broke loose, it took out a couple dozen trees, moved 2 pretty good sized boulders nobody can find anymore, totally wiped out the county highway a quarter-mile downstream before dumping into the Wisconsin River. So you can imagine we figured our little railroad was doomed, but the area is declared a federal disaster zone and FEMA came in. And with funds from FEMA, a lot of private donations from the local communities, and a juicy loan from the bank we're still working on, we were able to build that bridge.